The sleek black limousine sits like a jewel against the cracked pavement of Maple Street, its polished chrome reflecting the morning sun as curious neighbors peek through their curtains. But what happened next shocked everyone who witnessed this moment that would change a 17-year-old's life forever. 24 hours earlier, Malik Jackson trudged down the same street, his worn sneakers scraping against the sidewalk as exhaustion weighed on his shoulders. The late October air bit through his thin jacket, but he barely noticed. Another day at Roosevelt High had drained him, 3 part-time job applications rejected, a failed chemistry test, and the constant whisper of his family's mounting bills following him home. The sound of frustrated sighing made him look up. A silver sedan sat tilted on the roadside, its front tire completely flat. A woman in her 60s stood beside it, her gray hair catching the streetlight as she stared helplessly at the damaged wheel. "Ma'am, you need some help?" Malik called out, his voice carrying the genuine concern that his grandmother had instilled in him since childhood. Ellen Parker turned, surprised to see the tall teenager approaching. Her initial wariness melted as she took in his earnest expression. "Oh, honey, I hate to bother anyone. My tire just gave out, and I don't know the first thing about changing it." "No bother at all," Malik replied, already kneeling beside the car to assess the situation. "My dad taught me before he..." He paused, then continued, "before he passed. I've got this." Little did Malik know that this simple act of kindness would set in motion events beyond his wildest imagination. Ellen watched in amazement as the young man worked with determination despite the inadequate tools in her emergency kit. The jack was bent, the lug wrench barely fit, and the spare tire looked questionable at best. Yet Malik persisted, his hands growing dirty and scraped as he struggled with each stubborn bolt. "You don't have to do this," Ellen said softly, noting how his school clothes were getting ruined. "I can call someone." "It's almost done, Mrs." Malik looked up, wiping sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. "Parker. Ellen Parker." She extended her hand formally, which made Malik smile despite his exhaustion. "Malik Jackson. And Mrs. Parker, I'm not leaving you stranded out here. This neighborhood isn't the safest after dark." The sincerity in his voice touched something deep in Ellen's heart. She had spent years surrounded by people who wanted something from her, yet here was this young man asking for nothing while sacrificing his time, energy, and clothing for a stranger. 45 minutes later, Malik finally tightened the last lug nut on the spare tire. His arms ached, his knees bore fresh scrapes from the rough asphalt, and his chemistry homework remained undone in his backpack. "There you go, Mrs. Parker. That should get you home safe, but you'll want to get a real tire tomorrow. This spare won't last long." Ellen fumbled in her purse, pulling out her wallet. "Please, let me pay you something. You've saved my evening." Malik stepped back, shaking his head firmly. "No ma'am, I couldn't take your money. Just glad I could help." He shouldered his backpack, preparing to continue his walk home. "Wait," Ellen called out, something in her tone making Malik pause. She studied his face in the streetlight, the kind eyes, the genuine smile despite his obvious fatigue, the quiet dignity that reminded her of someone from long ago. "What's your name again?" "Malik Jackson, ma'am." "Well, Malik Jackson," she said, her voice carrying an odd weight, "I have a feeling we'll see each other again very soon. This decision would change everything." As Malik walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling that Mrs. Parker's words held more meaning than a simple thank you. But exhaustion clouded his thoughts, and he had bigger concerns waiting at home, like explaining to his mother why his shirt was torn and his homework wasn't finished. Behind him, Ellen Parker sat in her car for several minutes, watching the teenager disappear into the shadows between streetlights. She pulled out an expensive phone and made a call that would set remarkable events in motion. But the real shock was still coming. The next morning, as Malik hurried to catch the bus for school, that gleaming black limousine waited outside his family's modest home like a promise, or perhaps a question that demanded an answer. The sleek black limousine sits like a question mark against the cracked pavement of Malik Street, its tinted windows reflecting the morning sun. But to understand why it's here, we need to step back into the mind of the woman who sent it. Ellen Parker stands at the floor-to-ceiling windows of her downtown penthouse, her fingers wrapped around a steaming cup of coffee. The city sprawls beneath her, but her thoughts keep drifting back to that young man with calloused hands and a gentle smile. Most people see her designer clothes and assume she's always lived this way, but Ellen remembers her own childhood in neighborhoods much like Malik's. Kindness without expectation, she whispers to herself, recalling how Malik refused the $20 bill she'd offered. When was the last time I met someone like that? Her assistant, Marcus, enters quietly. The surveillance report you requested, ma'am. Ellen's eyebrows furrow. Surveillance? I asked you to research his background, not spy on him. Well, ma'am, sometimes research requires observation, Marcus replies carefully. The family's facing eviction. 3 weeks behind on rent. His mother works double shifts at the hospital, and his younger sister needs medical attention they can't afford. Ellen's heart clenches. She'd built her fortune through real estate investments and philanthropic ventures, but she'd never forgotten where she came from. And Malik? Straight-A student. Captain of the debate team. Been working part-time at Henderson's auto shop to help with bills. Marcus pauses. He applied for the Morrison College scholarship. It's his only shot at higher education. Meanwhile, across town, Malik trudges up the stairs to his family's small apartment, his shoulder aching from another long shift at the auto shop. The familiar smell of his mother's cooking should comfort him, but tonight something feels different. His mother, Denise, sits at their wobbly kitchen table, dozens of bills spread before her like a losing hand of cards. Baby, come sit down, she says softly, her nurse scrubs still damp with exhaustion. Malik notices the red envelope immediately, the eviction notice. His stomach drops. Mama, how bad is it? 3 weeks, Malik. We have 3 weeks to come up with $1,800 or... She trails off, unable to finish the sentence. His little sister Keisha peeks around the corner, her inhaler clutched in her small hands. At 8 years old, she doesn't fully understand their situation, but she senses the tension. Are we gonna have to move again? Malik forces a smile, crossing to ruffle her hair. Don't worry about that, baby girl. Everything's gonna work out. But inside, his mind races. The Morrison scholarship was supposed to be their way out of this cycle. For years at college, then medical school, then he could take care of his family properly. That night, after Keisha falls asleep, Malik sits on his bed staring at his scholarship essay. The topic, describe a moment when helping others changed your perspective. He'd written about tutoring younger kids at the community center, but now his thoughts drift to the elegant woman with the flat tire. Something about her seemed familiar, though he can't place why. You still up, baby? His mother appears in the doorway. Just thinking, Mama. About that scholarship, about everything. Denise sits beside him on the narrow mattress. You know, when I was pregnant with you, I used to dream about the man you'd become. Smart, kind, hardworking. She touches his face gently. I never imagined you'd have to grow up so fast. I don't mind helping, Mama. We're family. That's exactly what I mean, Malik. You shouldn't have to choose between your dreams and taking care of us. Back in her penthouse, Ellen stares at a photograph Marcus had taken, Malik helping an elderly neighbor carry groceries up 3 flights of stairs, completely unaware he was being observed. Her phone buzzes with a text from her private investigator, more information on the Jackson family. Medical bills for the daughter's asthma treatments have exhausted their savings. Mother's been picking up extra shifts, but it's not enough. Ellen's jaw tightens with determination. She's spent decades building her wealth, but what good is money if you can't use it to change lives? She thinks about her own son, who died in a car accident 5 years ago. David would have been about Malik's age now, and she likes to think he would have had the same moral compass. Her fingers hover over her phone's keypad before she dials a familiar number. The phone rings once, twice, then a distinguished voice answers. Dr. Morrison? It's Ellen Parker. I need to discuss the Scholarship Foundation. The next morning, Malik walks through the school hallways with heavy steps, his mind still on the eviction notice. His best friend Jerome catches up to him at his locker. "Yo, Malik, you look like somebody stole your lunch money. What's wrong?" Before Malik can answer, the intercom crackles to life. "Malik Jackson, please report to the principal's office immediately." Students nearby exchange knowing looks. Being called to the principal's office is rarely good news. Jerome pats his shoulder. "Whatever it is, man, you got this." But as Malik makes his way down the corridor, his heart pounds with dread. What if they found out about his part-time job? What if his grades had slipped without him realizing? Most terrifying of all, what if this was about the scholarship? The secretary's smile seems forced as she gestures toward Principal Thompson's door. "Go right in, honey." Malik takes a deep breath and turns the handle, completely unaware that at that very moment, Ellen Parker is stepping out of her limousine in front of his apartment building, a sealed envelope in her hands and a plan that will change everything. But who exactly is Ellen Parker calling, and what does her mysterious plan mean for Malik's future? The harsh fluorescent lights of Jefferson High buzzed overhead as Malik approached the guidance counselor's office, his worn sneakers squeaking against the polished linoleum. His heart hammered against his ribs as he knocked on Mrs. Rodriguez's door, clutching the envelope that held his future. "Come in, Malik," she called, her voice noticeably subdued. The moment he saw her expression, his stomach dropped like a stone. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," Mrs. Rodriguez said gently, sliding the rejection letter across her desk. "The scholarship committee was impressed with your essay and grades, but they said the competition was just too fierce this year." Malik stared at the letter, the words blurring together. "Full ride scholarship to State University, regret to inform you, not selected at this time." His hands trembled as he folded the paper, his dreams crumpling along with it. "There are other opportunities," Mrs. Rodriguez continued, but her words felt distant, like she was speaking underwater. "Community college has excellent programs, and you could always—" "Thank you," Malik interrupted quietly, standing abruptly. "I need to get to class." He wandered the hallways in a daze, his mind racing with the implications. No scholarship meant no college. No college meant no way out of the neighborhood. No way to help his family escape the cycle of poverty that had trapped them for generations. Meanwhile, across town, Mrs. Ellen Parker sat in her elegant home office, surrounded by mahogany bookshelves and framed photos of scholarship recipients from her foundation. She'd barely slept since encountering that remarkable young man 2 nights ago. His genuine kindness, his selfless spirit despite clearly having so little, it reminded her why she'd started the Parker Educational Foundation in the first place. "Margaret," she called to her assistant, "I need you to make some calls." Quietly. "I want to know everything about Malik Jackson's situation, his family, his school, his circumstances." But discreetly. As the investigation unfolded throughout the day, Mrs. Parker's heart grew heavier. Malik's family was facing eviction. His mother worked double shifts at the hospital just to keep food on the table. His younger sister needed medical care they couldn't afford. And now, according to her contact at the school, his scholarship application had been rejected. This boy helped a complete stranger in the rain, using his own jacket to keep her dry, she murmured to herself, staring out her window. While his own family is drowning. That evening, Malik trudged home to find his mother, Sandra, sitting at their small kitchen table surrounded by a mountain of bills. Her scrubs were still damp from her shift, and exhaustion lined her face. "How'd it go today, baby?" she asked, forcing a smile. Malik couldn't bring himself to tell her about the scholarship. Not when she looked so worn down, so defeated. "Fine, Mama. Just fine." But Sandra Jackson knew her son better than that. She watched him slump into his chair, picking at the leftover casserole she'd reheated for the 3rd time this week. Something was wrong. "You know you can tell me anything, right?" she said softly. Before Malik could respond, his 8-year-old sister Keisha bounded into the kitchen, her homework in hand. "Malik, can you help me with my math? I don't understand fractions." Despite his heavy heart, Malik smiled and pulled Keisha onto his lap. Of course, little bug. Let's see what we're working with. As he helped his sister with her homework, Mrs. Parker was making a decision that would change everything. She picked up her phone and dialed a number she knew by heart. Principal Thompson? This is Ellen Parker from the Parker Educational Foundation. I need to discuss an urgent matter regarding one of your students, Malik Jackson. The conversation lasted nearly an hour. What Mrs. Parker learned only strengthened her resolve. Malik wasn't just academically excellent, teachers described him as a natural leader, someone who helped struggling classmates and volunteered in the community despite his own challenges. I want to meet with him and his family, Mrs. Parker concluded. Tomorrow evening. But first, I need you to visit them. There's something special I want to propose. Back at the Jackson household, dinner had become a quiet affair. Sandra sensed the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air, while Malik fought to maintain his composure. Just as they were finishing their meal, a knock echoed through their small house. Sandra frowned, glancing at the clock. Who could that be at this hour? She opened the door to find Principal Thompson standing on their porch, briefcase in hand and an expression she couldn't quite read on his face. Good evening, Mrs. Jackson. I'm sorry to intrude so late, but I have something very important to discuss with you and Malik. May I come in? The doorbell rings just as Malik's family settles into their modest dinner of canned soup and day-old bread. His mother, Denise, frowns and glances toward the front door. Who could that be at this hour? Malik's younger sister Maya looks up from her bowl. Maybe it's Mrs. Johnson with more overdue notices. I'll get it, Malik says, pushing back from the small kitchen table. His stomach churns with anxiety as he approaches the door, expecting another creditor or landlord representative. Instead, he finds Mr. Thompson, his high school principal, standing on the cracked concrete steps. The older man's expression is unreadable, and he clutches a manila folder against his chest. Mr. Thompson? Malik's voice cracks with surprise. Is everything okay? Did I do something wrong? May I come in, Malik? I need to speak with you and your family about something important. Denise appears behind her son, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Good evening, Mr. Thompson. Please, come in. Though I have to warn you, our place isn't much to look at. Mrs. Jackson, your home is perfect as it is, Mr. Thompson replies, stepping inside and removing his coat. What I have to discuss tonight could change everything for your family. They gather in the small living room, where the flickering overhead light casts dancing shadows on the walls. Mr. Thompson opens his folder and pulls out several official-looking documents. Malik, yesterday you told me about your scholarship rejection. Well, something extraordinary has happened. He pauses, studying the teenager's face. A private donor has come forward, specifically requesting to fund your entire college education. The room falls silent except for the hum of the old refrigerator in the kitchen. Malik's heart pounds so hard he's sure everyone can hear it. But here's the thing, Mr. Thompson continues, his tone growing serious. This donor has some very specific conditions. They want to meet you personally, assess your character, and ensure you're committed to giving back to your community after graduation. Denise leans forward, suspicion creeping into her voice. What kind of conditions? Who is this donor? This sounds too good to be true. The donor wishes to remain anonymous for now, but I can tell you there's someone who believes deeply in rewarding acts of kindness and integrity. Mr. Thompson's eyes meet Malik's. They specifically mention that you helped someone recently, someone who was impressed by your character. Malik's mind races back to the woman with the flat tire. Could Mrs. Parker have something to do with this? But that seems impossible, she was just a regular person stranded on the roadside. Maya bounces excitedly on the worn couch. Malik's going to college. Malik's going to college. Hold on now, Malik says, raising his hand. Mr. Thompson, I appreciate this opportunity, but I need to know more. I've never taken charity in my life, and I'm not about to start now unless I can earn it properly. Mr. Thompson nods approvingly. That's exactly the kind of response our donor hoped to hear. They don't want to give you charity, Malik. They want to invest in your future because they believe you'll use your education to lift others up. The principal stands and walks to the window, gazing out at the street where porch lights flicker in the growing darkness. There's a formal interview process. You'll need to present your goals, your vision for how you'll serve your community, and demonstrate the values that caught this donor's attention in the first place. When? Denise asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Tomorrow evening. The donor will send a car to collect you at 7 o'clock sharp. Malik swallows hard. This feels surreal, like something that happens to other people in movies, not to kids from his neighborhood. And if I don't impress them? Then you continue on your current path, and no one will think less of you for trying. Mr. Thompson gathers his papers. But Malik, I've known you for 3 years. If anyone deserves this chance, it's you. After the principal leaves, the Jackson family sits in stunned silence. The weight of possibility hangs heavy in the air, mixed with the fear of disappointment. What if it's some kind of trick? Maya whispers. Don't even think like that, Denise warns, though her own worry shows in the lines around her eyes. Malik stares at the ceiling, trying to process everything. Mom, what if I mess this up? What if I'm not good enough? Before Denise can answer, the phone rings, its shrill tone cutting through their contemplation like a knife through butter. They all freeze, staring at the old rotary phone mounted on the kitchen wall. The phone continues ringing, each ring seeming louder than the last, as if demanding attention that could alter their fate forever. The phone call changes everything in ways Malik's mother, Sarah, never imagined possible. Her voice trembles as she hangs up, turning to face her family with tears streaming down her cheeks. That was the Scholarship Foundation, she whispers, barely able to contain her emotion. They want to meet with us tomorrow morning about a full 4-year scholarship for Malik. Mrs. Parker steps forward, her own eyes glistening with unshed tears. Sarah, there's something I need to tell you all. She takes a deep breath, looking directly at Malik. Yesterday, when you helped me with that tire, you didn't just fix my car. You restored my faith in humanity. Malik stares at her, confusion evident on his face. I don't understand, Mrs. Parker. My full name is Ellen Parker Williams, she begins, her voice steady but emotional. I'm the founder of the Hope Foundation, an organization that provides full scholarships to students who demonstrate exceptional character, not just academic achievement. For months, I've been driving through different neighborhoods, looking for young people who embody the values we believe in. Yesterday, I wasn't really stranded, I staged that flat tire to test people's willingness to help a stranger. The room falls silent as the weight of her revelation sinks in. Malik's younger sister, Jasmine, breaks the silence first. You mean you were testing him? Mrs. Parker nods, turning back to Malik with a gentle smile. 17 people walked past my car that evening. Some pretended not to see me. Others made excuses. But you, Malik, you stopped without hesitation. Even when your tools were inadequate, even when you were clearly tired from a long day, you refused to give up. That's the kind of character that changes the world. Malik's mother reaches for his hand, squeezing it tightly. Son, you've always had such a good heart. I've worried it might hold you back in this world, but instead, it's opened doors we never dreamed possible. Mrs. Parker continues, her voice growing stronger with conviction. The scholarship covers full tuition, room and board, books, and even provides a monthly stipend for your family while you're in school. But more than that, you'll be part of a network of young leaders who share your values. The next morning arrives with surreal clarity. The limousine parked outside their house isn't just transportation, it's a symbol of transformation. As Malik slides into the luxurious interior beside Mrs. Parker, he can hardly believe this is his life. Through the tinted windows, he watches his neighborhood pass by, seeing it through new eyes. The same streets that once felt like barriers now seem like the foundation of his strength. I need you to understand something, Mrs. Parker says as they drive toward the scholarship ceremony. This isn't charity. You earn this through your actions, your character, and your heart. The foundation has tracked 15 previous recipients, and they've gone on to become teachers, doctors, engineers, and community leaders. They all started exactly where you are now. At the ceremony, Malik stands before a room full of donors, foundation members, and previous scholarship recipients. His voice shakes slightly as he speaks, but his words carry profound weight. 6 months ago, I thought kindness was a luxury I couldn't afford. I thought being good to people was naive in a world that often seems cruel. But yesterday taught me that kindness isn't weakness, it's power. It's the power to change not just your own life, but the lives of everyone around you. The audience erupts in applause, but Malik's eyes find his family in the front row. His mother wipes away tears of pride, while Jasmine beams with admiration for her big brother. His journey from a struggling teenager to a scholarship recipient represents more than personal success, it embodies hope for an entire community. Mrs. Parker takes the podium one final time. Malik's story reminds us that extraordinary people aren't born, they're revealed through ordinary acts of kindness. Every day, we have opportunities to help others, and every act of kindness creates ripples we may never see but will certainly be felt. As the ceremony concludes, Malik realizes his transformation is complete. The boy who helped a stranger with a flat tire has become a young man with unlimited possibilities. His family's financial struggles are ending, his educational dreams are becoming reality, and most importantly, he's learned that maintaining his values while pursuing success isn't just possible, it's essential. Walking out of that ceremony, Malik carries with him a profound truth: kindness is never wasted, dreams are worth fighting for, and sometimes the smallest acts of goodness can unlock the biggest changes in our lives. Now it's your turn. Share a story in the comments about a time when kindness changed your life or someone else's. What small act of goodness have you witnessed that created big changes? Let's inspire each other and prove that Malik's story isn't unique, it's happening everywhere, every day, when good people choose to help others.